Hello, my next gen millionaires. How are we doing this week? I'm doing awesome, amazing. Uh, it's kind of late when I'm doing this, but I'm here. I want to honor my commitment to you guys to showing up every week, like I've told you. So here I am, and as you're noticing, it's kind of working out my schedule on Wednesdays, which is nice. Um, so you can catch me sometimes on Wednesdays if you want it to be more consistent, so you can show up live and actually have a conversation with me, which would be awesome. Let me know, and I can standardize the times. So otherwise, just catch replays. And again, as always, you can post questions in the comments, and I will come back and answer them because I'm really interested in seeing the questions you have based upon the topics I'm choosing. So this week is good because this is a topic that when people download the Attitudes of Money, right? That's a downloadable, and most all of you have downloaded it. That's why you're in this group. We're pretty good when we look at money from a place of neutrality. Money's not good or bad, right? All of you who are here finally have got to the point in life where money's not good or bad. Now that hasn't always been the case, but it is now, right? We're all at kind of a level set piece, and that's good because growing up. I grew up in a Christian household, and there's lots of verses from the Bible that are always quoted about money being evil, and all these things, and people's perception, especially in the religious realm. A lot of times, people's perception of it is money is bad, right? And I always got to stop people and be like, if you go reread those verses, it says love of money, right? Money itself is just a resource. I mean, I'll hold my $2 bill here. I have a nice crisp $2 bill. Money is just a piece of paper. It's the power we give it, right? And what we infuse and imbue into this is what gives it the power. But money overall is just neutral. It really is. It's not good or bad, but it's what we use it for, right? Our intention behind, like why we want to accumulate it, what we want to use it for, what we're going to do with it. Is like gasoline on a fire, right? We already have a fire going, you just pour more gasoline, it's like money. It just really fuels more of what's in this thing right here inside our body, inside our minds, what we're going to do. Okay? So that's the level set of it. Money is really a neutral object. Which is really easy for people to grasp. It's like, yeah, Joe, like, duh, this is like really simple to grasp. Like, some might even be wondering at this point in time, why am I even talking about the subject? And it's true. Like, if you grasp it so easy, why am I spending time on this? Well, there's so much more that's like just a good versus bad conversation, right? Good and bad, for the most part, are just perspectives. And people have different perspectives. Now, there's some things in society we said are bad things, like killing people. That's a bad thing. But there's always these exceptions, right? And us as society kill people. And I'm not going to get into that whole conversation, so we don't got to go there. We're just saying that we can play like devil's advocate, but let's bring it back to a moment or a stance of, if we look at money as a neutral object that's not good or bad, and if money, right, and I always talk about money is just an indicator. It's a great mirror showing us what's going on the inside. Okay, that's what I want to talk about tonight. As I thought about this topic for this week, I'm like, yeah, I'll touch on the money is neutral thing. We all kind of get that, and what we do with it, and it's there, and it's okay. The problem is there other driving factors in our lives that we don't see as just neutral, when if we did, it would be way more beneficial to us. Okay? So let's take a moment to think about other things. So if money's a mirror, if it just reflects back to me, again, what I'm feeling on the inside, and if it's a neutral thing, not saying good or bad, then it's our experiences, it's our thoughts, our emotions, that then drive how we interact with it. So if we think it's good, then we've had good experiences with it. Most of us think in some cases that money's kind of bad because we've had bad experiences with it, or we've had bad experiences that money has impacted kind of the outcome of that. Right? So think about this for a moment. And it's a little deeper conversation I usually go into, but I thought it was important tonight. Right? So if we look at the emotions and the thoughts that we have inside of us, Are they neutral? Are they good? Are they bad? That's kind of a mix up, right? And it's all your perspective. Because I could look at somebody, I look at my clients, and as they start telling me stuff, I'm like, there's no judgment here. I'm simply gathering information so I can help you get to the next place you want to go. And sometimes these emotions and thoughts, we perceive them based upon our perception and our life experience that they're bad, they're negative, they're impacting us in a way we don't want them to. Or that we can have different experiences that are good. Well, we've labeled them good and bad, but good and bad are so kind of ambiguous a little bit. Because again, it's all perspective. Like my perspective overall could say that, hey, there's one action that's good, there's one action that's bad. And you could see it totally different. And you would bring an argument or a case and be like, hey, let's have a conversation about this. And then you might sway me. And I could be like, oh, cool. Now, like, I've learned something new. And now I might change that. So we can't rely on our emotions and our feelings being good or bad. But if we take the approach we take to money of it being neutral, that they just are, then we can look at it next and be like, are they serving us? Are they helping me get to where I want to go? What's the result at the end of it? Right? Because our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions, they trigger action. And action then, we get a result from things we go do. So if we don't like the result, we need to change. Well, most people think they need to change the action. But I go way far deeper. And I'm like, we need to really look at the thoughts, the emotions, and the feelings coming up. Because those are really going to drive the actions that will get us new results. But again, I have to ask you, there's a level of neutrality to these things. They're not good or bad. We've labeled them good or bad. We've labeled them in a way that we might not be proud of some things we've done. Or, if you take out money and you put time in, is time good or bad? Well, sometimes we're going to say, oh, that was a good use of my time. Or that was a bad use of my time. Well, why? Right? It's understanding why we're spouting off some of these programmed phrases. Why we're spouting off and thinking like, hey, if I don't use my time in a certain way, if I don't use my money in a certain way, if I don't connect with people, use my relationships in a certain way, then I'm a bad human being. But that's not the case. The case is, it's the perspective again of how we look at those things, how we look at those emotions, those experiences, and what we're doing with that, with our actions, to be like, do I like the result or not? Because the result is what we're driving for. Now, if we don't know what that result is and life's just happening to us, that's a whole different conversation. But most of you know what that result is that you want. So what I want to challenge you this week is to really look at these things as more neutral and not good and bad. Money teaches us a lot about ourselves. And if we can see money as a neutral thing, then maybe apply that a little bit to our emotions that are coming up. They're just neutral. They're doing something, and we need to figure out what it is they're doing and whether we like it or not. We have to start removing good and bad from our vocabulary when we start talking about ourselves. Because if it's good or bad, based upon our perception about things we learn throughout life, then pretty soon we start closing ourselves in a box and starting to cut possibilities out for things to be different. And if things can't be different, then how can we change? So look at it. I really challenge you this week to really look. And if you don't know, literally take out a piece of paper or take like a notebook and just like open a page and be like, okay, here's my daily log. That's a fun tool. Like, here's my daily log, and here's the emotions and the experiences that are like kind of triggering these emotions, and start to catalog what's happening in your life. And don't begin like super crazy. Like, I'm never asking people to go like super bonkers. Take like 5 minutes and like pick out the top 3 for the day. And be like, what do I think about these? Are they good or bad? Ask yourself that. And be like, and if they're bad or good, either way, see if they're contributing to the results you want or not. Or if they're just happening. Most of the time we don't stop and look. So, really, this is a lot I dropped on you in the last 10 minutes. But I hope you can start to see a little bit about how if we can come to the realization that money is neutral, that it's not good or bad, then we as humans are not good or bad, but it's our perception that tells us we need to be. Now, I want to say there's some very evil human beings on this planet, right? And that's not overall just like wiping away. But what I'm talking about is let's bring it into this group here. And there are no evil people in this group. We're not good or bad. But we have things and emotions and experiences in our past, and people have taught us different things that then start to tell us on our brains that like some of these actions we've taken is good or bad. And then we start seeing the bad, and it starts piling up, and then we can't see ourselves as just being ourselves. We start to see a good side of us and a bad side of us. And when we start to get that dichotomy, we have issues. Okay? So I want to bring us back to a place of neutral, because if we can come back to a place of neutral, then we can be happy with who we are, and we can step into being, and not just a human being, not just being here, but we can actually step into who we are. And as we do that, then our relationships get better, we bring more money in, and we accomplish the goals we really want. So challenge yourselves to do that this week. Really look at what's coming up. And I'd love to hear, again, what's coming up for you. So post in the group. It's a safe place. Let me help you, because I can't read your minds. And if I can't read your minds, then you got to post so I can help. So this was a little deeper than I usually go, but I thought it was really important to talk about this week. That's one attitude, the attitude of neutrality, that's usually just glossed over because like, oh yeah, I get money. But there's other lessons, right? If we take that surface level, this money, but then we start bringing it down to us, we can start really looking and saying, how are we showing up? And are we showing up the way we want to? Not whether we're showing up good or bad, but is it the way we want to show up? And if it is, great. And if it's not, let's start changing some things. Okay? So I'd love to hear from you guys. Post in the comments. If it's too much, like honestly, if it's too much, send me an email. Right? Y'all have my email address. It's on my newsletter, and all you are sign up on the newsletter. Just hit respond to that and share with me what's going on. Okay? So until next week, hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next week. See ya. Bye.